Greetings. Today I'm going to teach you about an instructional strategy known as backwards chaining. Chaining is defined as learning to perform a sequence of functionally related responses in an approximate or exact order to complete a more complex routine or task. In backwards chaining, you teach the final step of a task until mastery, then teach the next preceding steps until mastery, expecting maintenance of the last step, and so on. The steps in backwards chaining. First, break down a greater task into simpler, successive steps. Teach all steps of the task to mastery. Allow students to perform the last step of the task independently to mastery. Reinforce for correctness and correct errors. Successively allow students to perform the last step of the task independently to mastery. Finally, allow students to perform all steps of the task on their own to mastery. Why backwards chaining works. The student is being assisted through the task, performs the task quickly, and gets reinforcement early in learning. The teacher provides differential reinforcement for correct responses and systematically corrects errors. Backwards chaining begins instruction with completing the task, which can be naturally reinforcing. The potential for behavior problems is limited. Here is an example of how backwards chaining can be used to teach counting from 1 to 10. First, break down counting from 1 to 10 into simpler successive steps. In the case of counting, each number can be a step. Instruction begins with the teacher providing students an instructional cue. For instance, let's count from 1 to 10. The teacher models each number in the sequence 1 to 10 for the students. Once students have mastered imitating the teacher's model for all the numbers from 1 to 10, the teacher no longer provides the last digit, in this case 10. Students are expected to identify the digit the teacher does not supply. The teacher does this for all subsequent numbers. What this can look like. In this video, you'll see that the teacher begins to slowly remove themselves from the counting process, leaving only the students and their mastery of each number. Modifications you can use with the moderate to severely disabled student. Provide visual reinforcement by providing students with a number line they can point to. The kinesthetic and verbal abilities of a moderate to severely disabled student may vary, so allow students the ability to point to a number instead of verbally expressing it. Make sure you allow this process a lot of time. This process should be performed over multiple instructional periods. I would not suggest performing more than 3 or 5 successive attempts of counting, as you may lose focus and attention. Here is an example of how backwards chaining can be used to teach a social skill, in this case, getting ready in the morning. First, break down getting ready into several successive steps. For example, wake up, use the restroom, get dressed, eat breakfast, brush your hair, and grab your school gear. Instruction begins with the teacher providing the student an instructional cue. For instance, let's get ready for the morning. Perform all steps with the child to mastery. Successively let the child perform the last step on their own until the child completes all steps independently. Again, you'll notice in this video, the teacher slowly removes themselves from each step, leaving only the student with the mastery of each step. Modifications you can use for the moderate to severely disabled student. Again, provide visual reinforcement of task completion by providing a chart that the child can follow. Perhaps allow the student to manipulate the chart and move themselves ahead on a pegboard system of some sort. Make sure you create the steps based on the child's individual area of need. If your child, for instance, has trouble brushing their teeth, you may want to break down the steps to incorporate that area of need. Again, allow this process to be performed over multiple instructional periods. In conclusion, backwards chaining is a highly versatile strategy that can be used both in school and at home. Backwards chaining is naturally reinforcing because it begins with completion, so the student should be naturally motivated to perform the task. Backwards chaining can be a lengthy process, requiring multiple sessions before mastery. Remember to correct any errors sensitively and quickly. Here are some resources I used to define this strategy. Thank you, and I hope you enjoyed learning about backwards chaining.